So good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's Grow with Google workshop presented by SCORE Charlotte in partnership with the Southwest region of the Small Business Center and the Union County Public Library. And we have Christy Starnes on from the library. For the remainder of the Grow with Google series, you can go to our charlotte.score.org website for more information. We've got 5 more events coming up over the next 5 months. So we've got a lot of Google things going on. I'm Danny Fisher. I'm one of the co-presidents of the Charlotte chapter of SCORE. Real quickly, we are going to be recording this, and if you want a copy, just send me an email after the event. And I know Deming loves to answer questions, so if you've got questions or comments, just put it in the chat room, raise your hand, or put it in the Q&A. And real quickly, SCORE is a national all-volunteer organization, resource partner with all other organizations or many other organizations focused on the needs of entrepreneurs and small businesses. We've got 320 chapters nationwide, 11,000 volunteer mentors, and we are the mentoring arm for the Small Business Administration. And I'll go ahead and introduce Deming, but I'm going to let Christy just say a couple quick things real quick.
Yes, it's really great that we have received a grant from ALA and PLA that kind of started our partnership with everyone here that is with us tonight, and of course, everyone that Danny mentioned. And we're excited to continue this through December, and we have lots of other resources for any small business group that would like to come in and learn about what they can access, such as Data Axle, which is some small business research. I'll be presenting that to the SBCC Small Business Center in September. So I'm looking forward to that. And we have a lot of resources that would get you started with running a small business, and those that are already involved and would like to see how they could match their online membership or traffic, which is of course why we're with Deming tonight. So I'm really excited to be here and continue our partnership. Thank you, everyone.
And with that, I'm going to introduce Deming, and I'm going to let you toot your own horn. But Deming's been doing a lot of presentations for our chapter of SCORE and with the library here in Union County. So we're glad to have him back. And we got, like I said, we've got another 5 more events coming up. Deming's been the official Grow with Google speaker since 2017. That's a long time. And I'm gonna let you toot your own horn at this point. I won't say a whole lot more because you got a lot to say.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Danny and Christy. And I want to toot their horn actually a little bit. If you guys are not familiar with SCORE, and what I find to be one of the biggest benefits is the free mentoring sessions from folks that have been through the wars that you're probably going through as a small business owner. You've got to do that. And Union County and getting to work with Christy and the amazing resources they have there at the library system. It's not the library that we grew up with. They have so many great resources. So thank you guys for hosting tonight. And I am excited to be here with you guys because I'm actually a native. I was born and raised in Charlotte, so I'm from that area. I'm based in Atlanta now. But a couple things is before we jump in, kind of logistics, housekeeping. One is one of the best things that I found when we're doing webinars to start on time and stop on time. I'm going to jump into the presentation, but you can, if you have questions along the way, you can put them into the chat. You can put them into the Q&A, and I'm going to get to your questions at the end. Also, make sure that you stick around. I do have at the end, I always, as a thank you for you guys joining us, I've got a special link for free Google matching ad credit, which ties in perfectly with what we're talking about if you're interested in trying to run an ad campaign. And also, I've got some other really cool free resources from Google too that you can use that will help you become a better marketer and a better business person in general long after the webinar is over. So let's go ahead and jump in. We talked a little bit about me, just in case you're wondering who I am. That's me. I have been a Grow with Google trainer since the start of the program in 2017. My background has always been in marketing and PR and branding, and I was a chamber executive in the Research Triangle, Raleigh and Cary, before Atlanta, moving down to the Atlanta area where I'm based now. Speak all over the country, do webinars now all over the country, so that's why I'm excited to be here in the Charlotte and Union County area. Was also the marketing director for Constant Contact for the Southeast. and also a StoryBrand certified guide globally, if any of you guys are familiar with StoryBrand and Donald Miller. And also I run major multi-million-dollar capital campaigns for nonprofits and chambers and economic development organizations. But the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that I've helped train 52,000 small businesses and nonprofits. I absolutely love you guys because you've been my world in my career. I love helping you guys out. And that's why I love, especially these presentations and delivering this on behalf of Google, because I know what you're going to learn tonight is not academic, it's not theoretical, and hopefully it's not going to be too much over your head. I don't think it will be. We like to present this because this is going to be really good step-by-step, practical and really pragmatic information that you can take back tonight if you want to, no matter if you're a marketing expert or you're just new to this, or maybe you're intimidated by some of the technical stuff. We're going to try to present this in a way that's going to help you understand and, again, take those steps to actually do something which is going to have an impact on helping you get more customers and more revenue and more profit. So this is what we're going to talk about tonight on our agenda. We'll talk a little bit about advertising on Google, a little bit about what it is if you're new to it, how to get started, and how to take those first steps. And we're going to talk about really the technology that we have nowadays we didn't have 5 or 10 years ago, and what Google calls the SMART campaign, which is really Google's solution for small businesses to help you with advertising if you're brand new to it. Then we'll talk a little bit about some tips and techniques that are going to help you improve your ads, help you refine keywords. We'll talk a little bit about ad extensions if you want to incorporate that. And then we're going to wrap it up by talking about how do you actually measure that success, and how do you understand what's happening so that you make sure that you are actually hitting your business goals. And again, at the end, we'll do a quick little recap, and I'll share with you these great resources that are available for free from Google, as well as that matching ad credit. So let's go ahead and jump on in. And looking here, so why advertising on Google? Why is that so important? Well, the biggest thing when you think about Google, I mean, think about your own life experience the past week or two. How many times when you're thinking about doing something or thinking about learning about something or going somewhere or doing something, how many of you actually go online and then you actually do a little research beforehand, right, of the product or service? That happens to us all the time. In fact, a lot of times we think about, you hear it's like we go online, but if you think about it, so many of us nowadays are actually living online, right? And anytime somebody mentions anything, or we read something, or we hear something and we want to find out, what do? We pull out our smartphone or our tablet, we start typing in a few words to go find that out. And that's where Google, advertising on Google, is going to help you with that, because it's going to help you basically show up in that moment when they are ready to take that specific action that is hopefully going to lead to a purchase of your product or to help use your services. So how do ads actually work on Google search? Let's start with that briefly. Number one, it starts with what we call at Google that micro moment. Something triggers you to want to find out information about something. You go to the search page, you type in your search query to find out the answer. Well, normally when you hit enter, well, all the time when you hit enter, it pulls up the search page. But what's always at the top? It's the ads. So what's happening, if you decide to run an ad campaign, you are basically bidding in real time with other businesses in this sort of mini auction for your ad to show up at the very top of the page when people are searching for your information. And the cost of those ads are going to change. It'll be different depending on the popularity of that search term. You're always going to know kind of what it is, and you're going to have a budget set, and you're never going to go over that budget. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But when you put in that bid, then your ad is going to show up in front of those customers that are looking exactly for what you want, right? So when they click enter, they're going to see those ads at the top, and we know that they're ads, right? Because they say ads, right? And so those ads, and of course, a lot of us, right, when we do a search, we skip over the ads, right? We're like, it's propaganda. I want to go down to the real search results, okay? But hold that thought, because this is called pay-per-click advertising. We'll talk a little bit more about that. All those times you saw the ads, but you did not click on those ads, those advertisers did not pay a dime for you to see their brand and to see that messaging. You only pay when they either click on the ad, or if you set up the option for them to call you, you would pay in that case. So that's essentially a little bit about how advertising works on Google when it comes to showing up when people are searching for your business or your products or services. There's lots of different ad formats. There's text ads, and actually tonight, because this is the basics, we're going to be focused mostly on text ads, but there are image ads, shopping ads. A lot of times you'll see those across the top. Dynamic search ads. This pulls information. If you have really robust and you set it up, really robust websites, it pulls from information and content within your website. Call only ads, which are where people can call you from their phone, and then video ads. But tonight, and again, you can see, and we're all familiar where all the ads show up. They're up there at the top. Tonight, though, we're going to talk a little bit about text ads and kind of walk you through that. But a lot of what I'm sharing in terms of best practices regarding text ads also can apply across the board and all of the others. So again, we talked about this is what the ad looks like, right? When it pops up, you have your headline, you have your little description, you have, these are what are called ad extensions, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But again, this is pay-per-click. So when you run a campaign, and by the way, let me back up for a second. If you choose to start a campaign like Google Ads, and I'll show you how to do that in a second, it's free, completely free for you to create your account. You are only paying when people click on your ad or when they call on your ad. And that's why it's called pay-per-click. The great thing about pay-per-click is you're only paying when they actually take action on your ad. The other thing that's cool about pay-per-click is you're able to set a monthly budget. We'll talk about that in a second. You're never going to go over that monthly budget. So you know exactly how much you want to spend on your advertising for the month. Now, as with all of Google's products, if you do want to start an ad campaign, you do need to have a Google account, because that is what lets Google know how to identify you when you're going in and you're creating your campaign. So you can without logging in and out, you can go in and out of your ad campaign all the time as long as you're logged into your Google account, just like Gmail, Calendar, all those other tools. If you're wondering, Demi, do I even have a Google account? If you've got a Gmail email, that's your Google account. Oftentimes that's your username. There's going to be a password associated with it. If you don't have a Google account, don't worry, because you can always create one for free. You just go to google.com. You'll see a little button up in the top that says sign in. It brings up this page where you would log in and see this little link right here that says create account, or see this URL down here. You can go there and you can create your account for free. You can even take other existing emails and assign that as your Google account. So let's jump in and talk about how you would get started with Google Ads. You would go here to g.co/ads, and that's going to bring up the Google Ads page. And right here in the middle, you're going to see Start Now, the Start Now button. You simply click Start Now, and then you're going to follow the prompts, and it's going to help set up your business information about your first ad, billing information. Now, keep in mind, when you go in and you're setting this up, you are not paying a thing. This is all absolutely free to set up. And also remember, once you actually run an ad, we'll talk about this later, for an ad campaign, you can always start and stop the campaign at any time that you want. But remember, the only money you spend is the money that you're spending for the actual ad that you want when people are clicking or calling on your ad. All right, so as you get started in setting up your ad, they're going to walk you through, and this is what I absolutely love, right? Because the technology we have today, and you've heard about like machine learning and artificial intelligence and things like that. And you think about what Google does, which is they are able to collect data and analyze it. And now we're putting it to use for you. So think about all of the businesses or the nonprofits that are exactly like you, that have run ad campaigns exactly like you, targeting the same people. Well, with that data, we've set up what's called a smart campaign. And smart campaigns are essentially the solution for small businesses that are really struggling with their marketing. And you may not be a marketing expert, you don't know that much about it, you're really intimidated by it. This will take you through step by step to help set up a really strong fundamental campaign. So it's very quick to set up. And what happens is the system, as you go in and create it, it's going to automatically manage your ads for you, knowing, again, the hundreds of thousands or millions of similar ad campaigns, what needs to be done, right? And who is your target audience and what are the words that they're looking for, right? So when you go through, the first thing that you're going to select is your advertising goal. And as you guys look at this, and I want you guys, hopefully you're taking notes, even though this is a webinar, and I want you to write this down because I want you to keep this goal in mind as we work through the rest of the presentation. But you'll be offered 3 options, right? Do you want your advertising goal, if you're going to run an ad campaign, do you want to get more calls? Do you actually want to get calls from the ads that you run, which I absolutely love because you get calls in real time. You're talking to a real prospect, a real customer, and so you know your ads are working. Do you want to get more website sales? Do you sell your product through your website, or do you want to get people to sign up for email list or sign up or get a downloadable e-guide, or do you want people to schedule an appointment? Do you want them to get a quote? You would check that off. Or do you want to get more visits to your physical location, right? Do you have a restaurant and office and you want to drive traffic? So these are the 3 examples of the goals that will get you started on that path to run that smart campaign. Think about right now, which one of these 3 goals would you like to run for your first advertising campaign? And then you'll click next. Then you're going to want to, they'll walk you through, they want to give you want to give them the business name of your company, which is pretty obvious. Click next. And then you're going to want to add the website address. Now, here's the thing that trips a lot of people up. Don't put in your website, like your homepage for your website. Remember, you are creating an ad. So think about the goal of that ad, who exactly you want to target. What is that call to action? What is the page on your website that you want to drive them to? Does that make sense? You don't want to have an ad. Let's say you're selling one particular product on your website. You don't want then when they click on the ad to go to your website that talks about your overall business or nonprofit. And now they got to figure out, well, wait a second, I thought they were selling a specific product or service, and they got to find that. You do not want to do that. Big mistake that a lot of people do. Think about what is that number one product, that service, what is that offer that you're advertising in the ad, and take them, when they click on it, take them directly to that page, whether it's the buy now page, which is even better, right? Ideally, you want to click on an ad, they see it, and then they click to buy. Right? You want to keep it to as minimal the clicks. So again, it's probably not going to be your homepage. You want to be specific to what you're actually advertising. So you put that in here and you click next. Then you actually start to write your ad. So when you're writing your ad, you have 3 options for headlines. So go ahead and try to put in some 3 different headline options. These are going to be short, because you only have 30 characters for the headline, so keep that in mind. Then you also have 2 descriptions, okay? And these have got to be short too, because they're 90 characters as well, okay? But as you are creating and you're typing in these different headlines that you want to test and the different descriptions, it will show you what that actually looks like in the ad over here, so you can kind of see what you're doing. And then down at the bottom, you have that opportunity to show a call button in your ad. And this is what I was talking about. This allows people to call you if they're viewing your ad from their phone. They can literally click to call. And again, I love that as well. Once you have your headline written, and we're going to come back to how do you create a great ad. But once you have your headline written, your description, next you want to add in your keyword themes, okay? So this is where that machine learning kicks in, all that data. This is where we're guiding you to not create a terrible campaign, right? We will know based on your category, based on your business, your goals, how can we steer you to have really successful advertising campaign? So this is where you would want to add keyword themes that match the ad to the searches. Okay. Now the key here is, again, you don't want to pick keyword themes for your overall business or your overall nonprofit. You want to look for and try to pick the keyword themes that best match the purpose of that specific ad, right? Selling that specific product, that specific service. What would people actually type in terms of a search query to find it? So you're going to pick these keyword themes, and you can go in, they'll have so we'll have recommended ones based on the thousands or millions of ad campaigns. You can also go in and pick out the ones that are suggested, and you can add ones as well. But this is really key to spend some time thinking about those keyword themes, because from these themes, that's where they identify the actual search terms that will fall under this when they know, all right, that's where we want to place your ad when they're searching for the search terms that come under the keyword themes. Step number 6 then. Now you got your ad written, you got your keyword themes, you're locked into the words. Now, this is another thing that we learned early on, especially small businesses starting out, like they didn't even think about this. So they're running ads all over the country when it's wasting their money. You want to think about, what is the specific location that I want my ad campaign to run? And again, for most of you, if you're a small business or a nonprofit, again, most of your customers are going to be coming from a 30 to 40 mile radius, okay? Even if you sell all over the place, how can you really zero in and own that? And the more local, hyper-local you can get that tight, how can you maximize that market space? So you're going to go in and you can choose zip codes, you can choose cities, regions, or near the address that you're located in. You can even do, like we see here, you can have a radius, and the radius can be anywhere between 3 miles and 40 miles out. But again, you want to try to keep that as tight as possible. If you do want to run ad campaigns in different markets around the country, you can also do that. You can choose to do that if that's what you'd like to do. Then step number 7 is setting the budget. Again, remember, it's pay-per-click. So you only pay when they click or they call. So they will have recommended budget. You'll have some options here. They'll have the one that's recommended, again, based on best practices and best results from similar businesses running similar advertising campaigns. And what'll happen is, as you scroll through some of these different cards, or you're looking at them, see over here, it's going to tell you, okay, based on $10 daily average, you're going to get 15 to 26 estimated daily clicks. So it'll show you kind of what we think the estimated clicks would be based on that. Now, even though it's a daily average, at the end of the day, this really comes out to a maximum monthly budget. So your daily average might fluctuate, but at the end of the day, you will know, okay, I really only want to do $200 this month, or I want to do $300 this month. And whatever that monthly cap is, no matter how, when you get all these clicks or calls, when they get up to that max, it will shut off. So you never have to worry about like creating a campaign and suddenly you're overwhelmed with clicks or calls, and suddenly you get suddenly you owe thousands of dollars. It will lock it down at the maximum monthly budget. The reverse is true as well. Let's say you set a maximum monthly budget of $500, but the clicks and the calls really only added up to $250. Then you're not going to be paying $500. You only pay for what actually happened in that case. And again, the other thing to remember with all of this, you can always also pause the campaign at any time. And also remember, this is all free. There's no contracts. You're not signing up for anything. You're only paying for when the people actually click or they call. And then if you want to, you can always enter your own budget if you like to see or try something else than what they offer there. Now you're finishing up, you'll review your campaign, you enter your payment information. Okay, how are you going to pay for it? And this is where the matching ad credit comes in, that I've got the link at the end. What Google will do, it's for first-time users, is they'll essentially drop that money into your account. And then, so let's say you're like, all right, I'm going to try, I'll be willing to spend $100 this month. Well, that $150, so you can also they'll match it with the $100. That'll be a $200 campaign, and you've got $50 left over. That's sort of how that works. And you can set up optional conversion tracking. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. So once you have your ad campaign launched, now you can manage your ad campaign. You will always be able to go back into, now this is what your dashboard looks like. Now this is for the SMART campaign. Remember, this is designed for small businesses. So one of the things that this does, again, if you're not a marketing expert, you don't have tons of time to spend on all of this, they're going to focus your dashboard on the most important metrics, okay? So when you're going in here, but this is where you'll go in, you're going to be able to edit your campaigns. You can edit the headlines, the descriptions, you can start it, you can stop it, but you'll also be able to see, like you see here, you'll see the results of the campaign, but they keep it really basic for the most important metrics. Impressions, how many people saw your ad, eyeballs on your ad, clicks, which is what you really want. Okay, those are the clicks. That's what you're paying for, right? And then you can see how much has been spent. And then we'll talk about, you don't really want to stop with clicks. You want to get to conversions. But again, this is where you're going to be able to manage everything about your campaign and your budget. So now I want to turn for just a second to two different types of campaigns you can run. We've been talking mostly about SMART campaigns. And I would honestly say for 90% of you out there, this is what you want to focus on, because unless you are a marketing expert and unless you have hours each day to spend on your marketing and going in and checking your campaign and you want to get really down in the weeds, again, this is designed for small businesses. That means that the bidding is automated. The ad extensions, which I'll talk about that in a second, it's automated. This is done for you. The keyword creation is automated. The keyword editing, again, you remember you get to select and you can manage the keyword themes, and then they help pick the words that they know. And again, all of this is based on all past and current advertising campaigns. The reporting is going to be really simple, highlighting the most important stats. Where your ads show, it's going to be constantly trying to figure out where the best places for the ads to show. It'll be automated. And then landing pages is one per campaign. Again, 90% of you out there, this is you. This is the area you want to play in. There is another option, which are search campaigns in what's called expert mode. This is going to be more for advertising or agency types, or if you do have hours or an hour a day to stay on this, right? But this is where you can go in and you can specifically say, this is my bid. Specifically, you coordinate and set up your ad extensions, your keywords, you go down, you don't focus on keyword themes. You're going in exactly individual terms, keywords. You go in and you're going to get a lot more detailed reports, including ad groups, which are multiple ad campaigns, keyword search terms. Again, so this is going to be a little bit more involved, okay? But I do want to mention that because there is that option there. If you decide that, you know what, Deming, I'm up for the challenge, I'm going to switch to that expert mode, I want to do that all on my own. What you do is when you go into your campaign, that same page, remember where we had our main advertising goal, and it has this here, and you select it. Look down here and you can see it'll say switch to expert mode, and you click to that, and then you follow the prompts to be able to switch to expert mode and run those campaigns on your own. All right. So what I just shared with you is how to get started with your first ad campaigns. So now, what makes successful ads? How can you improve your ads and improve their success? So again, when we go back, and again, we're talking about text ads right now. There's lots of other ads, and I've got some resources at the end where you can do a deep dive into some of the others. But again, what I'm about to teach is applicable across, really all of them. So you're going to have 3 headlines that you can go in and test. And again, they're very short, 30 characters or less, 2 description lines with 90 characters max. And then you want to pick that final URL. And remember that URL or that link that they're going to click when they click that ad is probably not going to be your homepage, right? Unless that's a very clear call to action right there. You want to take them to the page that definitely resonates with exactly what you were trying to sell in that advertisement. Okay, make sure that it matches up. Okay, even if the ad looks different or the wording is different than the page that they land on, even branding wise, there's going to be a disconnect, and you're not going to have people follow through. And we're going to talk more about that in just a second. So what are some tips for writing some great ads? Number one, I'll say, I mean, we could spend a whole hour on writing great ads. So I want you guys to go down here. I want you to write this link down, and maybe after the webinar tonight, go just play around with this. Go to g.co/text ad tips. And this is going to go a little bit deeper into how do you write really effective ads. But number one, a great ad, again, you're always thinking about who is your target audience, who is your customer, what would they be looking for, and try to get as specific as possible, right? You don't want an ad that is targeting somebody that just says spices, right? Because we don't know if somebody's doing a search for spices, are they interested in buying spices? Are they interested in doing research on spices? I mean, we don't know. But if they can get more specific, like buy specialty spices or spice shop near me, right? Now you know, okay, these guys are interested, they're ready to buy, right? So number one, make sure your ad is relevant to what they might be looking for. Number two, again, include the keywords in the ad text, because that's going to match up with what they're looking for. And then number three, you want to make sure you have a very clear call to action, something that inspires action, right? Call now, order today. Now you may think, right, it's an ad. Like, of course, it's an ad. What they know? No, tell them exactly what you want to do. And this is a template that I share with a lot of people, whether it's running ads or if you're at a SCORE event, or you're at the library or something, you're at a networking event, somebody asks you what you do, follow this template, okay? This is a can't lose template for an ad or anytime you're communicating what you do. Lead with the problem. So in your text ad, whether it's the headline or in the description, lead with what is the problem your customers are facing, right? Or maybe the want or the desire. Lead with that. That's the hook, okay? Follow that up with an incentive, which could be a discount, right? Or something that entices them to click on your ad versus somebody else. And then always, again, follow up with that call to action. So lead with the problem that you solve or the desire that you can help them achieve or the want. What's an incentive to get them to buy, which is a discount or a promotion. And then always finish up with that clear call to action. That's going to be a great ad for you. Some other text ad tips to improve your ads. Again, now if you're in the search campaigns, this is more for that, but creating really focus. Again, focus in like you're talking one-on-one. Imagine you talking one-on-one with a prospect. Imagine writing an ad for that one person. Keep it very simple, but keep it enticing. And again, if you lead with the problem or the want, that's the hook. That is going to be enticing. You're going to be able to test multiple ad variations. Remember how you were able to go in and you were able to put in 3 headlines and 2 descriptions? Well, if you're in smart campaigns, it's going to be testing that, right? It's going to be running those multiple variations. And then the one that starts getting the most engagement, the most clicks, it'll start running that more and more. So this will happen for you. Google will automatically do that. If you're in the search campaigns, you're going to want to test that yourself. And then again, regularly go in and look at that performance. And we'll talk about that here in just a couple of slides. We talked a little bit about keywords and thinking about search phrases for smart campaigns. So when it comes to smart campaigns, again, back here, remember we talked about those key themes, how important they were, online spice stores. So when you're checking these off, again, the smart campaigns, it will automatically pick, okay, so what are the most common search phrases based on the theme for your ad? These will pop up. Right, so you're going to be able to see. So, for example, if I put these themes in, I can see essential spices. That has 839 impressions and the number of clicks. Again, you can go in and start looking at all this. So this is a way for you to tweak the success of your ads. If you are doing the search campaign in the expert mode, again, smart campaigns sort of take that thinking out of it, right? If you're in expert mode, you need to go in and create your keywords for your ad campaign. And these are called match types. And so match types are sort of the different types of words as you're trying to define, and you want to really distill down exactly what the words that are most important when you think people are ready to buy. Okay. They're not just searching. They're not just some kids doing some homework on spices from ancient, Asia, right? So if you wanted to go in and do this on your own, these are the different match types. So broad match types, that's where you would put in the keyword just spice. Hey, I want my ad to show up with spice. So this means that ads are going to show up for spice, misspellings, words close to it, synonyms, related searches. If you want to really run an effective ad campaign, you really want to drill down and tighten that up. So to drill down the next level, you can put in quotes, and this is called a phrase match type. Spice. So now the ads are only going to show on searches that match that phrase, but close variations to that. If you want to drill down even more, you can put brackets around the word. This is called an exact match type. And these ads are going to show for that exact term or really close variations. And then you also have negatives match types, because again, there may be words or queries out there have nothing to do with, if you're trying to sell spices, you're trying to sell pepper or something, you do not want everybody looking for Spice Girls, right, to see your ad and start clicking on it. So if that's the case, you can add a negative to a word, and that's going to prevent your ads from showing up on searches. So I know we went a little deep there, but those are some tips for any of you guys out there that are a little bit more advanced. And then also you have the opportunity to have a keyword planner that's also going to help with your search campaigns. Okay. So the keyword planner allows you to go in, and this is where you can analyze and you can look at some of the different keywords that are out there. You can see what the average monthly searches, how popular they are, the competition for those words, what the low and the high average prices for the bidding would be. So this just sort of helps you, again, if you want to really get down in the weeds, to work through that keyword planning tool. Another thing that you're going to want to do, and again, with smart campaigns, they're automatically going to do this, but I want you to be aware of these. These are what's called ad extensions, right? So you have your ad, you have your headlines, you have your descriptions. That's your basic ad, right? Well, ad extensions allow you to add additional information in your ad related to your products or services. There's lots of ways to do this. So I want you to look over here, and I'll explain this. So do you see this ad right here in the middle where the headline is Exquisite Spices and Seasonings, online spice store, right? So there's your headline. There's your description. We've shown you how to do that. Ad extensions are these little links down here that now not only can they click on the ad, but they can click to go and find out specific information with these ad extensions. So you have a variety of call extensions, or where you put in the number people can click to call. Again, the site link extensions are what you see here, different pages. Call out extensions are different descriptions or information or content related to your products and services. Location extensions could be your address, for example, if you want them to click to get directions. So again, with the smart campaigns, the beauty of that, this is all automated for you, so don't really need to worry about that. If you're in the search campaign, you have some other options that you can add to that as well. So finally, we need to talk a little bit about, now that you've got your ad campaign, how to set it up, you got some best practices with your ads, it's up there and running. Now, how do you know if you're being successful or not in terms of your ad campaign? And this is the beauty of online advertising and pay-per-click advertising, is you can see results in real time when it's set up, okay? So let's talk a little bit about that. Go back to the beginning of the webinar. and think about what was that goal. Remember I asked you, I said, what was that goal? Did you want to get calls? Did you want to get people taking action on your website, buying your product, scheduling an appointment, getting a quote? Were you trying to drive traffic in? So you want to go in that, you want to have that really clear idea of that number one goal you want the ad campaign to accomplish. Now, did you accomplish it? Now, before I show you how you can discover this, I want you to think about this, because sometimes we'll get people that say, well, Deming, I'm getting tons of clicks on my ads, but nobody's buying from me. Nobody's calling me. They're not following through, right? Here's the thing to keep in mind. If you are getting a lot of clicks on your ad or calls, then guess what? That means your ad is working. It is not your ad, okay? Remember, advertising is lead generation. If it's getting clicks and if it's getting calls, that means you've got a great ad, because it's forcing them to take action. But if it's not transferring to an actual purchase or an appointment or a quote, then there's something happening when they click and they get to your page. You want to take a look at that page, and again, make sure it's consistent and make sure it's easy and it's just very intuitive and seamless as to what you want them to do. There's going to be something there that you want to focus on. Also, because I get this question a lot, people will say, well, if it's pay-per-click, what if my competitors come in and they just start clicking on my ad, right? Or they're clicking, well, they probably wouldn't call. They click, 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 and that's going to bankrupt me and ruin my budget. Well, the good news is Google caught on to that years ago. So they're monitoring for that type of manipulation, and they're going to pick up on that really fast, and they're going to credit you. So they're going to take away those false clicks. So they're really good at working on that. But again, remember, what was that goal? And now I'll talk to you a little bit about managing your success. So when you're thinking about how do I measure the success of my ad campaign, here's some basic terminology to keep in mind. Number one is impressions, which those are basically eyes on your ads. How many times was it displayed, whether or not anybody clicked? Remember all those times you and I, we skip over the ads, but we look at it for a second, and we're like, oh, but we skip over it. Remember, those businesses did not pay for that. But you building up that brand equity. You're building up brand equity. You're not paying for that, but people saw your ad. But I don't really care about that, right? Because it's all about me making money, you making money, right? So what you really want are the clicks, right? That's what you're paying for. So the impression, they see the ad. Clicks, again, means that, okay, you've got an ad that in some way captured my attention enough that I stopped. There's a hook there. I'm interested. Now I'm going to click, or in some cases call, right? So that's the click or the call in the ad. But what's most important for all of us are the conversions, right? We don't want them to click and then not do anything. We want them to click, and then are they taking advantage of our desirable outcome? And that outcome could be a direct sale, right? If you're selling a product or service, or it could be whatever you want that main call to action to be on the page. It could be they click and now they're going to schedule an appointment, or they click and now they are going to get a quote, or they click and now they're going to sign up for my email newsletter, or they click and now they're going to download a guide. I'm going to capture their email. Whatever that desired outcome is, that is going to be your conversion, and that is what you really want to focus on. So when you're going in and you're looking at reports and you're trying to figure out, is my ad campaign working or not? Again, smart campaigns cut through all the fluff and they get right to what are the most important high-level metrics that you want to pay attention to in a way that you can understand. When you're wearing so many different ads, you don't have time to spend on this all the time. So it'll share with you, here's the impressions. So for example, in this case, the Spice House, they've spent $150. They've gotten 1,000 impressions. 1,000 people have seen their ads. But again, does that do anything? Maybe, maybe not. What I really care about is the clicks, right? That means 10% saw the ad, thought enough of it, they wanted to pursue, find out more, clicked on it. Those 100 clicks resulted in 5 calls, okay? Now that's good to know, right? Clicks and calls. Then we want to know what are those conversions. And in order to set that up, you need to get this tied in with your Google Analytics. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But what I do like about just at first glance looking at this dashboard, they spend, and think about this. This is how you want to measure your advertising as well. Think about when you set a goal for your website, for example, let's say you wanted to get, I want to get 5 30-minute consultation sessions with prospects, or 10 in a month. Let's say 10. And you know that if you can talk to 10 people, think about when you, and this is service oriented, obviously, but if you know, like if I can get in front of 10 people and talk about what I do, I usually can close 3 out of the 10. Like I can get 3 of those to become customers. Okay. That's 30% close rate. Make sense? Following me? Then think about what is the average revenue generated per customer. And it could either be a one-time revenue number or it could be a lifetime revenue number. But let's just say maybe for each of those customers, maybe my average revenue is $3,000. Well, we'll say $5,000 a customer. Okay. Well, what just happened was if your goal is 10 consultations, phone appointments, whatever you want to call it, in a month from your website, and you got those 10, right? And then you talk to the 10 people, and on average, you close 3 at $5,000 a piece. That's $15,000 in revenue, right? Right? Am I making sense? So now you know how much to spend. And the reason I share all of that is, right, because you don't want to spend more than $15,000, right? But if you spent $500 on an ad campaign that generated 10 calls from your website in a month, that closed 3 customers, that generated $15,000, isn't that a great return on investment? Does that make sense? So you also want to know kind of realistic what will happen. The reason I pause and mention that here is I'm just looking at this. 1,000 people saw the ad. You got 100 clicks. We need to know kind of, did that turn into appointments? I don't know. But guess what? They did get 5 calls, right? And again, 5 calls, you're talking to that person in real time. But again, conversions are optional, but you do want, I would recommend you set that up, and I'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. Going back to all the experts out there in the expert mode, search campaigns give you way more detailed reports. You can see in here, and it gets a little bit complicated. You can see success of certain entire ad groups, plus ads, plus if you have multiple landing pages, go more deep in keywords and go more deep in demographics. But again, 90% of you guys out there, the smart campaigns is really going to take care of that for you. So finally, the last recommendation that I would make is that I would want you, if you create your Google ad account, you want to create it with your analytics property. Now, property, so Google Analytics is basically another free Google tool, and I'll show you in a second how to set that up, where when you create that free account, it gives you code that you can put on each page of your website. And that once that code is in there, it tracks information about visitors that are coming to your website. You learn like demographic information, interest information about the visitors that are coming to your website. And at the same time, you know what they're doing on the website. You know, they came to the homepage, went to a product page, went to the buy now page, and bought. Okay, so you can follow that from the moment they get to the website. Here's why you want to link. If you create a Google ad account, you want to create a Google Analytics account on your website, and you want to link them together. And the reason you want to do that is now, once those are linked, you know the true success from the moment they did the search for the words where they were interested in your product or service. They did it, and then they see your ad. Now they click on the ad, right? You know the ads, you're tracking that in ads. But when they click on the ad, where are they going? To your website, right? To a landing page. If you have Google Analytics, now you know they came from the ad. So you're tracking, you're seeing the success of the ads to your website. And now you know not only did they go to the website, but then they actually followed through and they actually purchased the product. So you're going to really be able to manage those conversions. So if you're not familiar with Google Analytics and you want to do that, this is where you go. And again, very simple, step-by-step prompts you through. Very simple, go to g.co/analytics. Okay, this is where you'll set up your account. And again, this is free. You simply go in and you follow the prompts, you put in the website URL, and then you set up your property. Property is either going to be your website, or it could be if you have an app, it'll be your app. And then once you set it up, you can walk you through the steps. It'll have code that you can drop in. It'll show you, it'll explain how to do that if you're not familiar with that. And you do it yourself. Set up that code on each of those pages, and then you are set up. And then again, now you're tracking from the moment people see the ad impression, click the ad, clicks, and now you got it all the way through to your website. They purchase, and now you know the conversions. So then you know everything about, is your ad campaign working or not? So let's wrap it up. I want to share some of these great resources with you, and then I'll get to your questions. We've talked only about Google Ads tonight. And as Danny talked about, we've got a great lineup of webinars in store moving forward, where we're going to do deep dives in a lot of the different Google tools that are out there, whether it's improving your website, it's creating, improving business profiles. If you want to create a YouTube channel and start shooting, doing some video marketing out there, lots of great content coming up, and it all works together. Okay, so you can't rely on just ads. You can't rely on just a website, right? You want to do a lot of this, but this is how it all works together. So again, think about this, right? And just, sometimes I think we overcomplicate, we overthink marketing, and especially when it gets online, and we make it way more difficult than it needs to be. But just think about, that's why I always say, think about your life experience, right? You've got a friend, maybe a foodie friend, you need a gift. So what do? You just pull up your phone, you start typing in, foodie, ideas for my buddy, right? Or my friend that wants to have a birthday coming up, or Christmas or something, right? So you do your search. You can either then, through the search, see the organic search results, go to a website, or now that you've learned this, now you've got an ad that's going to show up at the very top, focused on, and let's say it sells an essential spice collection. And you click on it, you're great. Now you could go in right then and buy, but for most of us, we just click, we look, maybe not. Then you go on, and then guess what? You start reading, you start just browsing through the internet, and you're looking at YouTube channels, you start looking at great recipes. Then you come over, and then you see a video. Oh, how to spice up mac and cheese. That's pretty cool, right? And then as you're looking through all this, you're like, okay, I'm ready to buy. You do a search. Okay, is there like spices near me, a retail store nearby? And then you actually can either go into the location, or again, you go back online and you sign up for an email, you get an e-guide, you get something like that. And now you get a buy one, get one coupon, right? But this just sort of shows you all the different ways that you're able to tap in with folks and also see sort of how ads or Google Ads is just one part of that. All right, so as we wrap up, as promised, I want to share with you some really, really cool free Google resources that, again, going to make you a better marketer and better business person. Number one is our Google Primer app. This is absolutely free for you to download on your phone. Very quick, short, 5 minutes or less, bite-sized lessons, interactive, fun lessons that really get down into tactics and strategy for anything related to marketing and even business. So it's not just marketing. So this is a great tool for you guys. Also, and again, this is where if any of you guys want to go really in depth with Google Ads, or maybe you're like tonight, like you have some really specific, really technical questions, we have Skill Shop, this is all free for you to learn about anything and everything related to Google's products. This, you can go in, it's e-learning courses. You take your own time. Some of them are hours long, some of them are short. But you can literally go in and get certified in some of these different areas and become an expert in everything from Google Ads, what we talked about tonight. Analytics, I just talked about it, but you can really dive deep in that. YouTube, How many of you guys have kids out there, or maybe you want to start a YouTube channel? You can jump in there and do that. This is also really good for a lot of you guys who have middle schoolers or high schoolers and you want to help them with their digital skills. I absolutely love this. So definitely take advantage of that. And again, I'm getting ready to answer your questions, but if you have any really complex or technical questions, sometimes they can get pretty technical. It's hard to explain where you need to go through step by step, or you might even need video tutorials. This is our support page right here that's dedicated to nothing but Google Ads. And I tell people this is not like your typical support page at a business, because Google are pretty good at search engine stuff, right? So you type in your question and it'll take you through step by step how to answer, how to find that if it's really difficult or challenging. So finally, and I'll open up for questions, I just want to thank you guys for joining us. And I want to thank SCORE Charlotte and Union County Libraries and all of the great technical colleges in the area. Again, this is going to be your link that I mentioned, access to your free Google matching ad credit. So you just simply click here. Once you have your account open, click here, you'll follow the steps. They'll download that essentially money into your account. There's no, I get a question all the time, is there like, do we have to spend it by a certain amount? Nope. Once it's in there, it's there. And if any of you guys have a great success story that you've run an ad campaign, you've had a lot of success, we'd love to hear that. We share that with our marketing team. And you may end up, if you've seen any of our Grow with Google commercials, we use small businesses from around the country. So feel free to email me that. Or if you need help with any of that, I'm always happy to help provide Google partner recommendations of folks that can, if you're like, Deming, I don't know anything about ads, I want somebody to do it for me, I'm always happy to pass along those recommendations. So with that, I'm going to open up the chat first, or maybe I'll open up the Q&A first. Yeah, I'll open up the Q&A and see if I can answer your questions. And also feel free to put in the chat or the Q&A, because this is good also for SCORE and Union County Libraries. Number one, I always like to ask this. You put in the chat. Number one, this is wonky technical stuff, but did you learn something tonight? Did you have fun? What is maybe the one wow or the aha moment that you learned that you're going to go and apply? And do you feel like this was presented in a way that you, even if you were new to it, you felt like, yes, I have a pretty good grasp on this. This is something I can really try and do. Because at the end of the day, it's about you actually doing it, not just learning about it, but doing it. And so that's my goal, is to let you know that you can actually achieve this. Okay, so we're going into the questions. And so the question from Robert is, can this be used for a nonprofit fundraiser in which the goal is to raise funds for? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So you can run an ad campaign that is designed to target your donors or supporters, and you have a, donate now, right? Donate now button that takes them directly to where you can collect those funds. Is there help for creation of a website? So help for creation of a website, that's where you may want to, if you want to email me, I'm happy to pass along recommendations of Google partners. These are firms that actually do that work, digital marketing firms, and they've been vetted. They're sort of trustworthy. So I'm happy to pass along that. So feel free to email that to me. And then, but the other thing is, the other thought that I had, and I think we have this webinar coming up, we've done this past, one of the webinars that I do provide is making your website work for you, where we talk about the top characteristics for a website. That's also good to know, especially if you're working with somebody to create your websites, because as a small business owner or a nonprofit, you need to understand some basic fundamentals about what makes a good website to make sure you're not being sort of taken advantage of, and you kind of understand the system too. And then Robert, you're talking about, can the range of the ad be the entire nation or nationwide or international? So you could do that, but the smarter thing to do is, again, think about, and not knowing what your small business is think about focusing locally in that 30 to 40-mile radius of your area. And then if you are involved across the country, again, it'll be a waste of money to just blanket that out there. So maybe you find specific communities or specific cities and areas, or go and look at your sponsor database of your nonprofit and look at where are they grouped collectively, and see if you can run an ad within that really small targeted area of time. So that is good. Let's see if we have any in here in the chat, any more in the chat. Let's see.
We do. We start back with Belinda. She wants to know, for an online business, is 40-mile radius practical?
Yeah. So this is where, again, it depends. Again, there's lots of ways to look at that. I like to focus on your local area. And again, you can do a 40, let's say you're based in Charlotte. You can run an ad campaign that's 40 miles from Charlotte. You can also run campaigns that are then 40 miles from Raleigh, 40 miles from Winston-Salem, 40 miles from Columbus, South Carolina. You can run multiple, you have a campaign that runs in multiple markets. You can do that. But what you don't want to do is what Robert was thinking about, which is, you don't want to just blanket an entire United States, because you're going to be running ads in areas that people may not be interested. A good rule of thumb is to know who your audience is and where are they, and see if you can zero in on those different areas.
Question from Cynthia. What if you are selling to a professional group such as HR that is not geographically specific?
So with that, that's where you want to zero in on some of the keywords, the keyword themes, and think about what those professional groups would be searching for. And you can also target it based on, one of the ways you can target is based on areas of interest. This might be where you may want to get more into the search campaign and the expert mode, where you can start targeting audiences out there based on who they are. There's something also, if you're familiar with remarketing or retargeting, and you can go in and create things like lookalike campaigns based on like email addresses, and based on, and this gets way more advanced, but based on the people. For example, an HR group, right? So you could go in, if you've got a database of HR, you might want to target HR directors from, what is it, Sherma? Am I saying that right? Or Sherm? Some of those different groups. And then the other thing that you can set up, if you link it to Google Analytics, like I mentioned, is when analytics is set up and you're capturing visitors to your website, you're going to know, you don't know the people, but you know the IP address. So you know the people that came to your website and they didn't buy, but they were interested. So you can create ad campaigns targeting those folks that visited your website, just like you can target those folks that have certain interest groups. It's a very long answer.
Let's see. Belinda asked, can match types be a phrase or just single words?
They can also be a phrase.
Okay, and the next one is from Lorraine. What about when people click by mistake? I'm forever doing that when scrolling. Do you still pay, or can the business get credit?
Yeah, so unfortunately, if they click by mistake, not really, but as I mentioned, if it starts looking a little nefarious, right? Let's say suddenly, like you're normally getting 4 or 5 clicks a day, or 10 or 15, and then suddenly one day you're getting 50 or 60. Google has ways to check, and a lot of times that's competitors trying to do stuff going in there, and then that's where they will go back in and give you credit. But if it's just by mistake, there's no way to know that was that by mistake or not.
Let's see. It looks like John asked, why do 3 headlines separated by pipes work better than 1 headline?
All right, I think what you're saying, I'm not sure about the pipes piece, but why do 3 work better than 1? And the answer there is you want to try out, remember they were talking about, it'll test out which are the best headlines that capture people's attention. So, I mean, if you want to, you can have 3 of the same headlines. But what you may want to do is try 3 different headlines up there. And then again, when you're in a smart campaign, it'll automatically do this for you. It'll run the different ads, but it'll start noticing which is the headline that seems to capture the most audience, and it'll start running that more. So that's why you want to test around. You know, in the marketing world, a lot of times that's called A/B testing. Again, most of us as small business owners don't ever do that, but it's because we don't have the time for it. But it is good to know, to test, always test, like what seems to be working the best, and not sort of rest on your laurels, just throwing up one headline and just hoping that it works.
There was one more question in Q&A, and it's from Susa. If I set different zones to show my ad, it shows in the report the specific results for each zone, or is it the global ad results?
Can you say that again? Is that in the Q&A?
Yeah, it's in the Q&A. Yeah.
Let me see. I may need to look at that. If I set different zones to show my ad, it shows the specific results for each zone, or the global ad results. I believe, hopefully I'm answering this correctly. If you have it set in different zones, then the report should show it for each zone. I think that's what you're asking.
Well, I am looking and I don't see any other questions. A lot of people are having to drop off for other commitments, but a lot of positive feedback. And as Demi said, let's see, I think I now can do smart ads, have a Google account, Google Analytics. Well, all the information is there. So again, as Deming said, we're going to have some more presentations coming up. We've got Reach Customers Online with Google, get your local business on Google Search and Maps, make your website work for you, use YouTube to grow your business. And all that information is on the Charlotte SCORE website, and it's on the Union County Library website as well. So appreciate everybody coming, and thanks, Deming, again. Always good information. I love listening to all this stuff.
Great. Thank you. Well, I love presenting it, and thank you so much for pulling this all together. And for all of you guys out there, if you know Christy or Danny or any of them, thank them for helping to pull this together, because we love to present it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Okay, bye, guys. Have a great evening.